All right, well, now we're moving into Linux. This is our first one. So in this one, we're going to work with text files in both GUI and CLI. And then we'll look at kind of getting used to the Linux shell, some different things we can do in the Linux shell. So go to your CyberOps workstation or click on your CyberOps workstation to open it up and log in as analyst and CyberOps. There are lots and lots of different kinds of text editors for Linux, available for Linux. For many, many years I used Vi. In this lab I think we use Cite as your GUI text editor and Nano as your CLI text editor. So we'll start with Cite. We're going to create a file, a text file, not super exciting, but we're just kind of learning how to get used to it and manipulate our text files. So we'll go to Applications, CyberOps, Cite, and we'll type in the text that they gave us. I was not sure I was going to type it all in, but I think I will. So just bear with me a little bit. Not the most exciting part here. Space is big, really big. So that's the text that they give you that I'll go in and type in. Of course, I can't spell. We'll try to get close. We're not going to worry too much because we're just creating a text. We're just creating a text file right now that we can manipulate and work with. That's just peanuts. 2 space. All right. We're done with it? All right, you have some different options. It's GUI based, no surprise here. Probably just like any other text editor you've used. Cite in particular is lightweight and fast, and so it worked well with the CyberOps workstation, kind of the package that's happening here. So we go to File. After we type all this in, we want to go ahead and save it. So we'll go File, Save. Type the name space.txt. Wow. Why is the X such a problem for me right now? Notice that by default it wants to save it in your home folder, and that's fine. So we'll click Save. And then we'll close it up. Now we want to go ahead and open it again. So we open Cite, go to File, and Open. And you'll notice by default we're in the home directory where we saved it, but we don't see it. And the issue is that, I'm sorry, the issue is that it's looking for known extensions. So Cite's looking for a known extension, and TXT isn't one. Generally, Linux file systems don't work, or don't, I shouldn't say work. They don't rely on extensions, but Cite's looking for one, and Cite uses one. So anyway, to find our space.txt, we need to go down here. Instead of all source, we need to go to all files, and then we'll see our space.txt file. Click on it, click open, and now we're good to go. Now we're going to close it again. Now what we want to do is open Cite from the terminal and open our space text file. So we go down here to the terminal emulator, click it. It's pretty easy. Just Cite space .txt. We're just saying, hey, we want you to use Cite to open that file. And we'll click Enter. And you'll notice it opens our file. If you go back to the window, you'll also see that you don't have a prompt anymore. That's because this terminal emulator is running Cite, and it can't receive commands from you now in this particular window. I could open a new window and do something else, but this one can't receive commands from you right now. And we'll go ahead and we can either close the window by hitting the X here, or we could go in this window and click Control-C. Either way will work, and it will close it up. And notice once you close it, you get your prompt back as well. Now let's look at our command line text editors. I said there were a number of them. This particular course focuses on Nano. Like I said, I used Vi many years ago. It's typically what I'm used to. Command line text editors are really useful for like remote access when you don't have access necessarily to a GUI. So if you don't have access, say you're SSH'd in or something, and all you've got is text, knowing a CLI editor is going to be useful to you. So now we're just going to leave this window open because we got our prompt back. So we're going to use Nano now to deal with our space file. So we type nano, let me move this, space.txt. And now you can see it opens it in the terminal, and these are our options. These are all control options. So to get help, hit Control G. To exit, Control X. To save the current file or write out to save the current file, Control O, and so on. So there's kind of our menu down here that we can use. And you'll also notice that Nano uses the $sign as a delimiting character to say this is the end of the terminal, and you've got more text on the other side. Because we didn't type any $signs in there. So you can just, I mean, it's pretty easy to use. You can use the up-down characters. If I want to get to the end of this file, I just use the end keyword, wow, the end key. You can go to the home. If I click home key, I go to the beginning. Notice my cursor goes to the beginning. If I hit end, I go to the end of this. Because we didn't hit any enters, this just keeps scrolling across, which is why you see, I can't quite do it and get next to it, why you see the $sign there as our delimiting character. So let's go ahead and exit out. We'll go Control X. And now we want to look at working with configuration files. So everything in Linux is a file. That includes the configurations, right? And so if we want to change the way something behaves or looks, I think in this one we're going to change the way the terminal looks. So if we want to change the way something behaves or looks, we've got to manipulate the files. So we're going to start with listing our home directory. Whoop. So if we ls-l is just going to list the directory we're in. We're in our home directory right now. And it shows the different files in there. What you'll notice is the configuration files are missing, or any hidden files in a sense are missing. That's because the configuration files are going to be preceded by a dot indicating that they're hidden. So if we want to list them all, we have to use the A option to list them all. Now in this directory, so you have, I might be moving ahead on here, but anyway, you have multiple different configuration files, right? Because we've got to make the operating system work, we've got to make it viewable, and we've got to be able to do certain things with it. So there's a ton of files. Well, the files that are specific to the user as you're logged in, so we're analyst right now, the files, the configuration files specific to analyst are in the analyst home directory. Files that pertain to the whole system or all the users are in the etc directory. So we're first going to deal with our analyst home directory, and I think the first thing we do is we change the way this looks for the analyst, for that particular user. It doesn't change everything for every other user. But anyway, we need to use the A option when we list to see our hidden files. So we do ls-la, and now you can see all your hidden files, right? All these other files we couldn't see before. We are going to work with this bash file here. So let's go ahead and type cat.bashrc, and we see the bashrc file. We don't need to know everything about this. It's really outside our scope. We're just going to change a few things to demonstrate that as a user, you can change the configuration for your user and how your user stuff looks or behaves, but you can't change it for other users or for the system as a whole. What this is going to do, this has terminal configuration information, so we're just going to change some of that information just to change the way the terminal looks for us. So let's go and look. So I said a moment ago that the Etsy contains system-wide configuration. So if we list the, whoops, sorry, if we list our Etsy directory, let's make this bigger. Oh, breaking it. Okay, come on. So in our Etsy directory, we have this file. This file in particular defines all the default behavior of the terminal for all users, or the shell for all users. So bashrc inside of our own directory dealt with how does our terminal window behave or look for us, and or for the analyst, only the analyst user. This one being in Etsy pertains to the whole system. And if we were going to modify, we can look at it. If we're going to modify it, we would have to log in as root. Oh, I got to get more. So if we cat space / Etsy / bash dot bash rc. I can't spell again. Okay, what did I miss? Wow, I really can't spell. Let's try this again. Cat space / Etsy / bash dot bash rc. All right, so we can see the file. In order to edit it, we would need to be root. We wouldn't have permissions to write to this, to the Etsy directory as a whole. So now let's go back and do what we talked about, which was to change kind of the way this looks. Let's close this up. We're going to use Site to do it. So we'll go to Applications, CyberOps, Site, and then we need to do a file open. And we're looking for our bash file, right? But we don't see it. So one thing is we're going to make sure this is pressed. That's fine. We'll type the file name in. And we'll go .bash. Oh, sorry, everyone. See, hit enter. And then it found it. Should I do that again? I don't know if that was. So let's close this up. Applications, CyberOps, Site, File, Open. Everybody tells me sometimes I go too fast, so I just want to make sure. And I had my mouse sort of in the way. So we make sure this is active, and it is. And then we go to .bash rc. And then hit enter. And it opens it up. Now we can go ahead and edit it. We're just editing it right into Site. What we're going to do is we're going to change the color. 32 here is the color code for green. If we open up our terminal, it's green, right? So we're going to change that to 31, which is red. So if we just go next to 32, change that to 31, and then we want to save it. So File, Save, go ahead and close it, open our terminal window, and now we see it's red. So we can change that environment for the analyst user. So we're logged in as analyst. We can't change it for everyone. That would be in the Etsy directory, right, when we change something system-wide, which means we would need to be logged in as root. So now let's use, instead of using Site, let's use Nano. Let's use our CLI-based text editor, and we'll do nano space dot bash rc, and now we can edit the file from here. Let's change this to yellow. So we're going to change our 31 to 33. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay, I don't know why I keep trying to make things bigger, because every time I do, I can't seem to get that corner right. There we go. And then we want to do is hit Control X. Then it asks me if I want to save it. It knows it's been modified. It asks me if I want to save it. Type Y. And then it says the file name to write to. Well, I don't want to change the file name, so let's just go ahead and hit enter. And this isn't going to change it like until I open it. I guess we'll just close it. See? We'll close this, open another window, and now it's changed to yellow. I kind of like yellow. And now it's changed to yellow. So we have edited our bash configuration file to change how our terminal looks. Now we're going to edit configuration files for services. Specifically, we're going to edit a web server file. So we're going to open NGINX, which is just a lightweight web server that's installed on this machine. So we've got to be root to change this because this configuration file for this service is in etc. And etc can only be edited by the root user. So to change to the root user, we just use the keyword sudo. So we type sudo space nano. We're going to open it with nano space -l space /etc/ nginx/ custom, if I can type, _server.conf. And we have to put in the password for analyst, CyberOps. And now here's the file we're looking at. Here's the custom server conf file or config file. The configuration file has a bunch of parameters. We're going to configure only the two, the port NGINX listens on for incoming connections, and the directory it will serve web pages from. So the index.html homepage file. If we go to the bottom of the window above the nano commands, so we're going to go down, we need to change the port. So we've got to go down to line 35 here, 36, sorry. We want to change this 81. We want it to listen to on 8080. Let's go over to the other side, backspace, 80. Change it to 8080. And then we want to move to line 44 and change the path to lab.support.files. So right now the path is user share NGINX HTML. We want to change it to the home directory for analyst and lab.support files. We don't want to remove the semicolon, so we'll just highlight that and use the backspace to get rid of what's there. So we'll do /home/analyst, make sure I can spell, /lab.support.files. And then we'll hit Control-X to save it. Let's make sure I typed it right. And then again, it says, are you sure you want to? Yes, I do. Is this the file you want to write to? We're not going to change the file name at all, so we hit Enter. Now let's start it up with the modified configurations. So sudo space nginx space -c custom _server conf space -g space quote PID space /var/run /nginx _v.pid semicolon and end quotes. Now let's try to double check that I actually spelled that correctly. You guys have seen me type. See, I think I did. And hit Enter. Now let's go to Firefox. So we'll go to Applications. We're going to open our web app. Oh, where is it? Applications, Internet, Firefox. We'll go to 127.0.0.1. Oh, I gotta fix it. And :8080, the port number. So we go : and the port number we told it to use and hit Enter. And yay, we have successfully done it. This is the result you should get if you successfully did this part of the activity and saved it correctly. Now we're going to go through, we're going to shut down the web server. So we go back to, all right, and if you just hit enter, it'll bring the prompt back up at this point. We'll go back to our analyst, and we're going to just shut down the web server. So sudo space pkill and the name of the app, NGINX, and hit enter. Now if you want to test this, we go back to our Firefox, go to internet, and type in our 127 address again with the port number. Uh-oh. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Clear history. Like, that shouldn't happen. So let's go ahead and clear it. Now it better work, or I'll be crying. 7.0.0.1. There we go. Whew. I was like, that's not supposed to work. We just killed that process. We're gonna have to delve into another lab there for a second just to kill the process. But we're good. It doesn't work. I just forgot to clear the history on it. So now we know that our web server is shut down. I think we'll stop this one here, and we'll go into getting used to the Linux shell in a separate video.